You are my light in the dark. You are the beating in my heart. Let me hold you now, just like days before you start to cry. You are my light in the dark. You are the beating in my heart. But that is not enough. Will I ever be by your side?
So, did you guys hear about the Microsoft Surface tablets in the NFL and CNN this week?
I was aware of their existence in the media. Yes.
So this was a product placement that Microsoft paid for in both NFL and CNN. And the NFL, the first thing that happened was they would have their Microsoft Surface tablets out on the sidelines, like the coaches, they'd be doing plays on them. And then as soon as the cameras were off them, they'd put them down and pick up iPads. And then in CNN, they had, you know how the newscasters, the reporters and stuff, they've got, computers in front of them. So they'd have their Microsoft Surfaces sort of standing upright, like on their stand, their little kickstand thing they've got. And then leaning against the Microsoft Surface were iPads. Like using the Microsoft Surface as a kickstand, as a case stand.
I would have thought they got jumped on a bit heavier than that, because only, 3 weeks ago, one of the commentators accidentally referred to a Surface as an iPad. On public TV and everything.
It's kind of hard to buy mindshare like that, but...
Yeah.
You must be feeling pretty good about yourself right now, John.
No, I feel bad for Microsoft, because Microsoft's in the same spot that Apple was in the 90s, where they'd come out with, they're the underdog now, and they'd come out with cool stuff, but it just wasn't cool enough. It's like 80% of the way there, and if there was no iPhone and there was no Android, then people would be using these things like crazy, but, they were a bit too late, and so I feel bad for them, because they're trying so hard.
Well, the thing is, they're trying so hard. They're trying so hard to target against the, I think it's the Apple Air, isn't it? The MacBook Air? That's what most of their modern campaigns are against. It's like,
what, for the Surface?
Yeah, the Surface is like, what the ad says, something along the lines of, well, I didn't say it was better, you said it was better.
What? What kind of marketing campaign is that? No, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any marketing for it as well. That's another problem for it.
Really? No, they're pushing really hard, for the Surface 3, so...
Oh, right, that's right.
I see it all, I see it heaps of YouTube ads. It's just constant, the Surface is better I can do all my photoshopping and movie editing on the Surface Pro. And then
Well, they're trying to target the iPad, not the MacBook Air. Because the whole idea is, this is a tablet, but it's a full-on computer. Whereas the MacBook Air is an actual computer as well, so...
Yeah. Well, Microsoft's saying they're going to replace the MacBook Air. Like, the Surface should replace it. So.
Yeah.
You're right.
I know.
Andrew...
So you've seen a lot of ads for it, but have you ever seen them in the wild?
I saw them on display in JB. No one was looking at them.
Yikes. Andrew, you
People
just
were looking
bought
at the iPads.
Please. Andrew, you just bought a tablet, didn't you?
A couple of months ago.
No, for Christmas.
Oh, right, yeah, the one on the weekend with my dad.
Yeah. What is it?
HP 10 Plus.
Oh, HP.
HP still make tablets.
Holy shit. John and I are surprised.
Is it running WebOS?
4.4.2 Android.
Oh, okay. Because HP had their big thing where I guess they sold WebOS, didn't they? Yeah, they did. They sold WebOS. Because remember, their tablet, it was Android, iOS, Windows, and WebOS. And then I guess it didn't do well and they sold it, but I just assumed they'd keep using it. I don't know why. I liked WebOS. It had a really cool interface. Anyway, so...
The same thing happens with Surface all the time. Everyone says, yeah, it works well, but there's nothing on it.
That's because it's a Windows thing.
Well, it's like any social network or anything where you need lots of people. Developers won't make things for devices that only 5 people buy, and people won't go to things that don't have apps on them. So it's a bit of a cycle that you can't really break unless there's some one popular app that decides to only go Windows. So
it's the same problem as the Windows Phone.
Yeah.
Everyone says the Windows Phone's actually...
I like the Windows Phone. I would use it.
People who own the Windows...
on it.
Yeah, if there was anything on it.
That's the problem, yeah. All the people I know who love the Windows Phone say the exact same thing. There is nothing on it.
Yeah.
So,
but then again, Android broke out of that cycle. So I'm sure others can as well.
Yeah, it broke out of the cycle because it was free.
Well,
can you run Flash on a Surface?
Yeah, you can, because it's a full-on computer. It runs
Are you
full-on
sure about that?
It runs full-on Windows 8, so yeah.
Okay, the forums seem to be full of issues, but because if it can run Flash, I'm sold.
Yeah, well, it's just like a normal computer, except I think it's an ARM chip, isn't it, Tucker? Not a Intel chip?
Actually, I don't know. The only reason I don't know is because I was not interested in buying it whatsoever.
Yeah.
If I was, I would have looked it up. So
Yeah, in a world without iOS, I would buy a Surface 3 and a Windows Phone. I like the look of them. But, so, Finney, why'd you get the... what's your justification for getting that particular tablet over, say, an Nexus 9 or one of the other ones?
It has expandable memory. It's a full-size tablet. It's pretty damn powerful. Its specs are pretty good, and it's running Android, and it was $300.
$300.
$300.
That's pretty cheap. Yeah.
I think the most surprising thing here is that HP is actually making tablets, which I had no idea they still did.
I didn't know if HP was still making hardware.
Well, I kind of get the enterprise vibe of HP, if anything.
Well, they sold off their hardware business, just like Dell, just like IBM, just like everybody.
Oh well.
This is the sort of conversation Cal should be here for.
No.
Except to go for 6 hours.
Yeah, so let's move on. Harry, anything going on with you this week?
Oh, man. I had the funniest little interaction with my phone today, where
Did you speak to it?
I always speak to my phone, okay? I'm quite perfectly okay in the middle of
did you do
work
it in public?
doing the OK Google commands.
I
would
can't
do
that.
it in public.
I can't
have
do
no
that in
problem.
public. I can't do it.
No.
I speak to Siri, but I can't do it in public. I have to go somewhere.
Yeah. So the boss comes in, the other boss, comes in today and says, Harry, on the 1st of December, we're going to be changing all of our lab turnaround times. So I'm like, no problem. I'll get my phone to remember so that I don't have to. So I'm like, okay, Google, what was it? Change the TAT turnaround time on 1st of December. And it says, okay, Harry, reminding you to increase the percentage of THC on the 1st of December. I think my phone just told me to just blaze it.
The police may want to have a word with you after that.
Yeah.
Word with Google. Yeah. That'll tell us whether, the police are actually monitoring Google or not, because some guy's just given himself a reminder to
blaze.
smoke pot.
And it was funny, because right after you posted that, I think, was it Facebook you posted that to? I don't remember, you told us about it. I was watching the BlizzCon Starcraft finals, and that guy held up that sign saying BlazeCon 420. It's like, oh, he must have talked to Google already.
Nice.
I will laugh though if, on the 1st of December, Snoop Dogg just pops up and says, "Smoke weed every day." Emoji.
Nice. But yeah, I still haven't got myself a Google Watch. I'm very disappointed at myself. There was just too much of a wait time on the Moto 360, and they kept on delaying. So I'm like, screw you guys, refund.
This is a good thing because you are waiting.
I am waiting for the upgraded version of Google Watch. Okay, the upgraded Mark II version will do something just a little bit different to the original. You guys do know that Google owns a heap of biotech laboratories, right?
Yeah, that's not concerning at all.
Yeah, so did Skynet, I think.
Yeah, true. So they've invented this wonderful little thing. Actually, no, rather than describing the technology, I'll explain the outcome straight to you. So, you can, with a current Google Watch, have it remind you that you've got a meeting or call so-and-so or be here at this time. Mm-hmm. Well, it can also remind you, aside from you having a 2 o'clock appointment with Bill, that you also happen to have cancer.
Right. That doesn't seem like it's going to run into any legal problems ever.
No, Google has got a way of... if you were to be injected with this particular type of nanite they've invented, and that nanite...
See, if you start any sentence like that is a scary thing to tell a patient.
It's not a nanite.
Google
like
an injectable nanites.
It's like, okay, people are scared enough of needles, aren't they, Finny? And then...
No, needles don't bother me. It was the concept of my blood running out into a vial. By the way, Harry, some bastard has my blood.
So imagine if you go to the doctor, Finney, and you're already uncomfortable with this whole needle blood situation, and they say, all right, relax, this isn't going to hurt, you can have a lollipop afterwards, we're just going to start this easy, pain-free procedure by injecting some nanites into your bloodstream.
Like, wait, who made the nanites? Google.
Yeah,
no. Walk out the door.
Yeah, before we inject the nanites, you're going to have to log into your Google account and use your real name and two-way authentication.
You have to sign in with Google+.
Would you like to update your medical status?
Nanite comments are disabled.
Wow, that derailed so hard. No, by nanites, I really mean they're just like tiny little, basically like chemical chips of sorts. And if they detect cancerous blood cells, or cancerous cells in your bloodstream, they'll change their chemical composition a bit in a way that your handy-dandy smartwatch can detect. And so the phone can tell you that you have cancer, and an early warning system for most kinds of cancer is actually pretty much as good as a cure, or at least almost as good.
These days,
So
yeah.
the clickbait article for this is just going straight to the extreme of saying Google has
cures cancer.
Full stop, drops mic, walks off stage. Yeah. But I'm just wondering how they're going to tell you. Because, I mean, I'm used to Google notifications, and you can just swipe left or right to get rid of those pretty easy. What if you accidentally swipe it out of the way? What was that notification? I don't know. Probably not important.
It'll show up later. Yeah,
Turns out it said you had cancer.
yeah.
That could be quite a distraughting event then. So if you finally get, is it for Google Wear? So
Yes.
sorry, Android.
Yes,
Yeah,
so it's
so it's
supposed
like-
to be for Google Wear.
Yeah, so essentially on your
Android,
birthday, you open the present and go, oh, look, it's a Google Wear. So it's like, the Motorola watch or whatever. And you sit there going, if I put this on, I could find out I have cancer.
Yeah.
It could ruin a birthday or save a
Well-
life. So,
Yeah. I mean, the difference between early and late warning for some kinds of cancer can be as little as 2 weeks. So this is going to make a huge difference, and I don't see how the competition is going to compete with that. You can't. Apple doesn't own any biotech laboratories, I don't think,
that we know of.
that we know of.
Well, other than the Nike.
John,
stuff that
confirm.
they do. Well, they own some Nike subsidiaries which do that, but not to this sort of level at all. A question about it, Harry. So rather than specifically about this medical stuff, the fact that you cancelled your order and then you're going to get the Mark II or whatever.
Yeah.
If it arrived like the day after you ordered it, like this first one, and you've had it for the past month or so, and you're enjoying it, using it, and then 3-4 months from now they announce that there's a new one, and you're gonna have to buy another watch. I mean, we're used to replacing phones every 2 years, and we're used to replacing computers every 2 or 3 years, or in your case, every 10 years. But there's no precedent for it really, because you don't replace watches ever. Watches last for 50 years sometimes. So what happens when you have to replace a watch every 2-3 years? Or if you don't replace it, does your watch look like an old shitty, a bad watch, either a bad design or it has really bad chips and the new just like the problems phones have these days? What do you do when a watch is a fashion accessory more than a
Well, that's
device?
where Apple nailed it, because they made a watch that's reasonably stylish enough that it will be okay in 10 years or whatnot, which is kind of stupid for Apple to do that, because they can release another one and they'll have absolute legions of people buying the new one, so why bother? It's Android that really needs to make the one that will last 10 years. And
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, as for upgrades, I mean, people are probably going to have to start learning a new upgrade pattern, because we know when phones need to be upgraded. They either need to be upgraded when you break them, or when the
Contract
specs
runs out or something.
runs out, or the specs have upgraded to the point where you're like, yes, I do want that faster phone. This phone I have is just too slow. I've got too much music on it. I was stupid enough to buy the 16 gigabyte iPhone. I need a faster one.
or Nexus 5. Just as an example, just throwing it out there randomly. But something that an idea that they might be able to think of is modular tech. So, say they design something that just looks, say the Moto 360 as it stands right now looks really good. We like how it looks. And in 2-3 years, when the Moto 365 is out, you can go into a Motorola store, hand it off to them. A week later, they'll bring it back and it's got new internals, and you pay like a discounted rate or whatever.
I always thought that was going to be the future. I very much live by that attitude, by always upgrading parts of my computer rather than just buying a new computer. But most of the world doesn't live by that. They buy a phone, then they chuck it out. They buy a computer, then they chuck it out. They buy a car, then they chuck it out. It's a very disposable world we live in.
Yeah, but with watches specifically, they
even
already
more so.
have... Well, I think they already have a history of being something you keep for a long time.
Yeah, but change is as good as a holiday, and so if the specs on a new watch is good enough that you're like, okay, I want that new feature, while you're at it, you probably want a new look, a new feel, a new style or something, since it is a fashion accessory.
That's
You know,
true,
that
fashion
whole
does change and
reinvent
everything.
yourself nonsense
But
might kick in.
so how much is the 360, the Moto 360?
Oh, it's less than $300.
Okay, well that's every couple of years, that's all right.
Yeah.
But, you know, what if it's a $2,000 watch?
Like the Apple Watch.
Or a $30,000 watch? Like, you know, what about
like
these...
the edition. Holy shit.
Yes, I know. So what about these people who buy these $20,000, $30,000 watches, or even the $2,000 watch?
That's for idiots.
They're not going to do that every couple of years, are they?
I don't know. If you can afford a $30,000 watch, then you can afford three $30,000 watches.
No, but I mean, the watch that Tucker and I are probably going to get is probably going to be the $1,000 to $2,000 one, and we don't want to spend that every couple of years.
No, I want to spend it like once every 5 years. But John, here's the problem.
What?
I don't want to have old tech on my wrist when the
don't
new
want-
one comes out.
You don't want to what?
Have old tech on my wrist.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You still have the look of how it looks, and then you take it in for service. And there's even a hint of this because they're calling the processor in it the S1, and they showed how it looks, and it's actually wrapped in like a silicon thing because of the waterproofing. So this seems like a modular thing that they can take out and put back in. Like, take out the S1, and a week later you come back and you pick it up, and it's got the S2 in it for $400.
That's the only thing that'll make me feel more comfortable about buying the Apple Watch. Is if it does have that modular components where you can just pull them out and put the new updated ones in. Relatively easy at a like a heavily discounted price.
Yeah,
Because
I'm not going to buy. I'm saying this right here, so you guys can all follow up on me later on. I'm not going to buy the 1,000 to whatever the mid-range one is. I'm not going to buy the mid-range one if it doesn't have this modularity. I'm going to buy the cheapest, shittiest, plasticky one. If I have to buy the sports one, if I have to buy them every couple of years. So I really do hope they have this modularity.
It'll be funny.
Because no one will buy the expensive ones other than, you know, retardedly rich people.
Yeah.
I was about to ask a really stupid question. I was about to ask Andrew if he would buy one of these Android Wear watches if it gives you a health benefit of being able to detect whether you have cancer or not. A really obvious thing that pretty much anyone would want. Only I just realized today that Andrew's never actually even had a blood test before in his life.
Yeah, and it didn't go well today.
It really didn't.
So he's obviously not very concerned with the content of his blood.
Yeah. I am immortal.
It took 3 attempts for them to get the damn thing out of me.
Where were they trying to do it? Which part of your arm?
From the elbow, but the other side of the elbow.
The inbo?
Yeah, that was from the veins.
I wonder
terrible.
what is that called? What do you think? What is that? I need to
know.
find that out.
Not a crook of your
Inside of elbow.
I think it's the crook of your arm.
Yeah, when you said elbow, I just had the worst mental image of them trying to take blood from the outside of your elbow.
Or they just pierce the needle through his elbow to get to the veins.
Wow, public health care, get it together.
It's called the crook of the elbow, but that's what this guy's mum calls him. I don't think that's the actual name.
Did you just go to your mum jokes website?
No. It's called the epicondyle of the humerus. In other words, the
Yeah,
inside
I'm
of the elbow.
sticking to the crook of the elbow.
So they took it from. Well, they tried to take it from the right arm first, and my arm was so tense because I was so petrified of it that it didn't work. So they then tried the other arm. They couldn't find a vein, so then they went back to the right arm. Mm-hmm. The stupid thing is, I don't care about needles; they don't bother me. But the thought of my blood going out of me into a vial, that I don't like that. I've hurt myself pretty damn badly at work sometimes, open wounds that have been my entire arm or something covered in blood as a result. That doesn't... Okay, the pain hurts, yeah, but that didn't bother me. But watching it go into a vial from a needle, I couldn't stand that.
Yeah. We've both played Mass Effect 2, and we know what happens when things go into vials and people get collected.
I was constantly complaining about it at work that some bastard's running around Sydney with my blood.
Oh, I'm so sorry for that medical professional that's trying to see whether you have any illnesses.
Oh dear.
So the British Navy has decided to use virtual reality to help design their warships. It's a new thing that they developed. Basically, what it is, it's not like the Oculus. It's the holodeck. They've got these 3 suites that you walk into that all they've got massive screens all around. You wear these special glasses and a controller, which allows you to walk around the inside of the ship. So the screens give you the image, and then the goggles sort of convert it into a 3-dimensional image in front of you to give the effect of the holodeck from Star Trek. And they're using that in place of wood and cardboard mock-ups that they used to use to build their ships. Mm-hmm. And apparently it's going to save them a hell of a lot of money in doing it, but it's they also get a hell of a lot more detail because they're up close to the design of the ship trying to build the damn thing. Mm-hmm. And they're currently using it to build, what were they? Offshore patrol vessels, so pretty small things. But the pictures that they got here, it looks like old school virtual reality stuff from like the late 90s or something, but I mean, they don't need the hugest amount of detail. This isn't a video game, but the idea is pretty cool, and I think it's sort of the beginning of the future for most design of like large complex things, whether it be architecture. Everyone already used CAD design, so this is probably the next step in that. Once these suites and virtual reality becomes more accessible, probably through the Oculus being a big step forward, that this sort of virtual design, as opposed to mock-ups or just CADs on computer, this is going to be the future of most design. And I think it'll make things easier, it'll make things cheaper. Well, this is, me completely uninformed on the topic. But I reckon this could well be the future of design for most things.
Well, our company does a lot of work, as you know, with construction companies, and one of the big things that when you build a building, an office block, retail, whatever, that you need to do is have a building management system. And what that usually is a big, massive, just a fucking stupid web page with buttons on it, and you click on or off. So turn the lights on or off, or there's an error here, or the temperature's too high at this data center, at this floor, blah, 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 that sort of stuff. We've been working with a company over here called Ineni. What they do is they use Unreal, the Unreal Engine, and they create these virtual spaces where if you're the building manager, you sit there with your Oculus Rift on, and you just fly through the building to go to the points where there's errors going on or there's things going on, and you can fix them like in a full 3D space that's nicely designed and is accurate and all that sort of thing. So they're certainly already doing that, at least in the construction industry and design industry. It's cool to see that they're making kick-ass warships with it too.
Well, an offshore patrol boat is like a dinghy with a machine gun.
Well, cooler than a dinghy without a machine gun. The other thing that this made me think of was I saw this video a couple of months ago, quite a beautiful video of this old guy who was on a boat that sunk in Pearl Harbor, or a ship, I should say, because you shouldn't call them boats, and his grandson was showing him a recreation of it using the Oculus Rift. And so this old guy was on this ship for 20 years before it sunk, and so he grew up and all this sort of thing, or 15 years or something, and so he's walking around with it, and he takes it off, and his eyes are all tearing. He's like, it's exactly like it was, and it was crazy. So the power of this sort of virtual reality is, I think, untapped right now, because we play games on flat screens and we think it's great, and then we get into VR, finally real VR, after 20, 30 years of trying to achieve it, and it's just a really cool experience, and we don't know how deep it can go.
I don't remember if it's actually a real story or not, but I recall the story of a guy who he worked at a architecture firm, and he did, just like you said, John, Unreal Engine developed buildings, and I think he ported it into some video game or something, just for lols, and the boss saw it and thought it was like some kind of planned terrorism exercise or something, like they were planning to kill everyone in this building that they built. And the boss, who didn't know what video games were or anything, just freaked the hell out.
Well, it's funny, the company that we brought in to do this, one of their workers is actually a guy we know, Harry, who I'll mention later, Christopher. They come in and he's like, Christopher? John? Oh, we see each other. And then they proceed to go through the thing. They show us the demo. we're all very impressed. It's very cool because all the construction guys are like 40, 50-year-old dudes. They don't see any of this sort of stuff, and Unreal Engine 4 stuff looks absolutely realistic and beautiful. And then they go, want to see something cool? And we go, yeah. And they press a button, and then an AK-47 comes up. And they start going around this mock-up of a Westfield, of a shopping mall, and just shooting stuff and all this sort of thing. And I was like, oh, it was cool. And it was a model from Counter-Strike.
This is not going to end well.
It was funny, though. It was good. But yeah, no, very cool. Very cool, Finny. And so do you see them... do you see them doing it with smaller scale stuff? So big scale stuff like buildings and warships or whatever are going to happen, it would seem. But smaller scale things like being able to project yourself down to a nano sort of level when you're creating
I do
Microsoft
see that,
chips.
especially.
Did I just say Microsoft chips? I meant
did.
microchips.
I definitely see it happening as a way of planning out really delicate and intricate surgeries. Like you could create, using MRI scans, create a very detailed image of a person's body, then scale it up so that you're in, like as you said, like that you're like you from perspective wise.
You go down. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you've got an in-depth look at what's happening. So that way, especially in like cancer treatment where you're trying to remove tumors or something, which can be very delicate, this is a way of finding out exactly where you need to cut, exactly where the lasers need to go. Basically, you can plan it in the most minute of detail. And I could definitely see it in surgery, or just in the medical industry in general, taking off. Being a big help. Or in car design even. You could get inside the engine base, see where all the wiring and that goes.
Yeah, certainly. I think it's quite cool. Do you think it's cool, Tucker?
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of cool things, it was a cool fucking weekend for us.
It was.
So, alright.
We're going to do this?
Disclosure right up front, me and Tucker are Blizz drones. Finny is less of a fan of Blizzard, I think is fair to say.
I don't not like them, they just don't make anything I like.
Right.
So you don't like them.
So you don't like their
Well,
games.
no, it's not that I
It's-
think Blizzard is a terrible developer.
You just don't
are
like their games,
developer.
that's- yeah.
Their games, they're not bad, they just bore me.
Yeah. And Harry, you're somewhere in between.
Can we edit in that scene from The Simpsons where Homer drives past a bunch of uni students yelling out, "Nerds!"
Yes, Blizz nerds.
Oh, we're nerds, Harry, Mr. Going to the Sydney Brony convention, which it was so nerdy and so fucking stupid that nobody came and they had to issue refunds and cancel the whole thing. We're the nerds.
I'm waiting on Tucker for my refund.
Yeah, it will be done.
So wait, Tucker, you wanted to go to it too?
No, I'm going to do his refund.
What? Why?
It involved an Excel spreadsheet. How can I say no to that?
Oh, shit.
You're such an accountant.
So, BlizzCon happened this weekend. The annual, well, not the annual, they don't do it every year, but it's the 8th BlizzCon, which is...
Which they do almost every year.
Well, they didn't do it in, like, 2011 or something.
That's what I said, almost every year.
And they did, yeah, which is what I said. And they didn't do it before 2006 or something like that. But anyway, it's Blizzard's convention for all the different games, which at the moment is Diablo, the Diablo series, the Starcraft series, the Warcraft series, World of Warcraft, now Heroes of the Storm, and Hearthstone. And it's sort of a celebration of the general stuff. There's panels and there's competitions. You know, the StarCraft Global Finals are on there. We're not going to bother talking about that. It was great. All different tournaments, Hearthstone tournaments, Heroes of the Storm exhibition matches.
WCS.
WCS. So briefly, they released the Legacy of the Void stuff. Briefly, we'll go into that, where obviously new units, bunch of balance changes. They've listened to the community because the community has been crying for this stuff for 2 years. Like automated tournaments, changes to how warp gates work, fix the battle cruiser, buff the
You
carrier.
forgot the most important thing, John.
What?
Zeratul says, "My life for Aya."
Yeah, he does say
badass
that. He does. He says it very cool. And I was like, but that's what Zealots say, and he's a Dark Templar. You know, so many cool things, and so many fucking unbalanced units at the moment. They did an exhibition match in it, in this new thing they've got called Archon mode, where, say, Harry, you and I could play a game, and it's a 1v1, but you and I both control the same person, the same base. So I could say to you, so we've only got one base like normal, and I say, Harry, you worry about economy, I'll do the attacking. So it's not a
yes,
2v2.
I saw that. That sounds so awesome. I'm
Yeah.
really psyched for that. That is the thing that will get me into StarCraft
Yeah.
multiplayer.
So the way they're positioning it is play like a pro gamer, but with your stupid friends. In other words,
Yeah, that's great. That means I can focus on one thing and get it good, and that's what I love in video games. Because StarCraft just has too many freaking things for me to worry about.
Yeah, but they did an exhibition match with 4 pro gamers, so 2 and 2 versus 2, with this particular Archon mode, and one of them went Terran and just wrecked the other one completely because there's this one new unit called the Herc, which did you watch that video, Harry?
Yeah.
It's a stupid little running animation, and it can pull people. It can pull themselves towards people or pull themselves away, and it does so much damage, and it does splash damage, and it's only about 20 minerals. It's the most unbalanced thing ever. And so they just built 50 of them and destroyed the other team. It was so funny to watch, especially because Warp Gate now, whenever you warp in, you take 200% more damage. So they've nerfed Warp Gate a lot as well, which as a Protoss makes me sad. But as a Terran, you now have some unbalanced units. So
Yay!
got that going for you. And the Lurker is back if you like Zerg. So that's Legacy of the Void stuff. Obviously, they talked a lot of Diablo stuff. They talked a lot of World of Warcraft. The World of Warcraft movie.
Wait. They didn't talk that much about World of Warcraft.
Oh, well,
which was disappointing.
Warlords of Draenor and all that sort of stuff's coming out in a couple of days.
Next week, yeah. So they kind of focused on the other stuff, like the movie. So that was a interesting panel.
So the movie, the documentary, Looking for Group, which came out today or yesterday.
Did you watch it? No, yesterday. Did you watch it?
I didn't watch it yet. I'll watch it
It's
later.
good. It's
Is it good? Okay.
Yeah, enjoy it.
And Heroes of the Storm, and when that's coming out, the closed beta is January, so only a couple of months. Adding in a whole bunch of new stuff for there. And then they introduced the first new IP that Blizzard's done in 17 years. It's called Overwatch.
I thought it was 16 years.
17. He said 17.
Okay.
What is this tonight, Tucker? I say something, and then you just come back with like some tiny little detail about it. Well, it's every year. They're not every year that they do it. I thought you said 16 years.
Someone has to keep you in check.
You got to keep the spreadsheet balanced.
So that's just for you, John.
So it was 17 years, by the way. So it's called Overwatch, and it is a team-based arena shooter in the style of, Quake or Team Fortress, but with MOBA-style abilities where you have, every character has different abilities rather than... It's not really classes, they're more characters, and there seems to be tons of them. And they released a cinematic for it. It's like 4 or 5 minute long cinematic, and they released a 6 or 7 minute long gameplay trailer to give us an idea of how the gameplay looked. And the beta is going to happen early 2015, and then it looks like it's going to release towards the end of the year. Before I give my opinion on it, Tucker, what do you think?
I think the cinematic was actually 6 minutes long, but apart from that, I
Oh my god!
Sorry, I had to do that. Exciting. It's strange seeing Blizzard try and take on an FPS, because I generally don't associate Blizzard with FPS genre at all. I couldn't possibly, before I couldn't fathom it. It's just
and that art style as well.
RTS. Yeah,
completely
exactly.
different. Yeah.
It's I see them as essentially RTS. Looking down third person, and obviously, MOBAs now. And
if the camera's above them, then it's a Blizzard
or
game.
behind them.
Yeah.
But as a first person shooter, I assume they attempted this with what was it, Starcraft Ghosts?
Ghosts. Yeah, Ghosts was an FPS.
And I figured maybe they realized they couldn't do FPS and they just threw it out.
Well, it was about to be released. It was literally a week away from being released.
Yeah, and they
canned it.
decided to scrap it.
They said it wasn't that fun, and they didn't release it. So
just give it to us, Blizzard.
Yeah,
it's good enough for us.
Yeah, it'd be shit now. It was going to come out in 2005.
Oh, okay, yeah. Maybe not Blizzard.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, they're trying to take essentially the traditional FPS and combine it with the battle arena and abilities, which look awesome.
They look so good. Oh.
I know. So once again, it's Blizzard taking an established genre and just giving it their flair and turning something.
Well, any other
company going to be awesome.
Exactly. Any other company would have just gone, this is Monday Night Combat. Monday Night Combat was TF2 meets MOBAs, and a few people played it and it was fun, and that was it. But because it's Blizzard, first off, it will have the audience and it'll have enough people in the service playing it because it is Blizzard.
Exactly.
To get it off the ground. But second off, just with Hearthstone, with MMOs, and with MOBAs, they take something that's already there and then they make it better. And obviously we haven't played it, but from all the reviews of people who have played it at BlizzCon, it feels exactly how it looks in that gameplay trailer, which is exactly what I want.
Excellent.
I'm all about
I want to be
it.
able to like dash around the map, like do some parkour as the archer. Oh, that'd be cool.
Oh, being able to go back in time to where you were.
I know.
Ah!
Like, oh, I'm about to die. Nope. Do your equivalent of an alt go back and just go. Nope, you're dead.
I'm all about it. Harry, what did you think when you saw it?
I was more excited for the game before I saw the trailer for it, to be honest, the cinematic.
The cinematic was a little dumb.
It was
Yeah.
a really, really good cinematic. It just did the opposite of advertising for me.
I didn't like the cinematic that much. I loved the gameplay trailer, but not the
Yes.
cinematic. What do you think of the
Okay.
gameplay, Harry?
It's so Team Fortress.
Yep.
Yes, we established that.
Yes.
Next.
You can't make any game that is exactly like another game. It's a
Team
Hearthstone's
Fortress 3 because Valve can't count to 3.
Yeah,
Remember,
that's
we were
pretty
talking
much
a few weeks ago about a team up between them, right? And how Valve needs Blizzard's help to count to 3. But I mean, Hearthstone is Magic, and Heroes of the Storm is Dota. WoW is EverQuest. It's the same sort of deal. So you thought it was a bit too similar.
I suppose it was just, you know me. I look for things in games that you either hate or just don't care about in a game. And the first thing that is apparent is that there is no story to this. None.
Because it's a multiplayer shooter.
I really like Starcraft. It's got a great story. It's got great multiplayer. That's why I get into the multiplayer. But I wouldn't ever care for the multiplayer if it didn't have an awesome single player to just kick me off into
Yeah,
it.
but Harry, what game have you just played 180-something hours in the past couple of months? A
Counter-Strike.
multiplayer shooter,
I'll
which
have
has
you know,
no single player.
that Counter-Strike is a mod of Half-Life, and if you're going to tell me that Half-Life hasn't got a story, then I have news for you.
That's
son.
got nothing to do with it, Harry. Team Fortress is a mod of Quake, so there you go.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Does Quake have a storyline?
Yeah, but it's got nothing to do with Quake. There are millions of people who've played Team Fortress and never played Quake, and there are even more people who've played Counter-Strike than have played Half-Life.
Yeah, but I got into Counter-Strike back when it was just a Half-Life mod.
It doesn't matter. It's got nothing. You're casting at straws here, Harry. Counter-Strike's story is not Half-Life.
I'm just saying, I don't typically get into multiplayer without some kind of single player first.
Did
Fair
they
enough.
say anything about the single player for Overwatch, or was it purely a multiplayer game?
Well, they didn't say anything about it, but I didn't watch the panel.
Yeah, neither did I.
So
Well, not yet.
I will watch it, but they didn't say anything about it, and so I don't know if that means there will be something. It seems like it's probably not, and the only reason I think that is because two reasons. One, they called it a multiplayer online team-based shooter, or
Yeah,
something
they
like
did.
that.
So
And secondly, the cinematic looks like how they want the gameplay to feel, if you know what I mean, where it's an arena and they're just shooting each other and bouncing around and using their abilities and stuff. So, and the story itself in the cinematic set up the idea of just heroes battling. So
yeah, but
I
didn't have
agree.
a distinct good and bad side for the heroes. So
yeah, but
I don't know,
it'll
maybe-
be like Heroes of the Storm, where there's Jim Raynor and Uther,
Yeah,
and then there's
but-
Kerrigan and Diablo.
Yeah,
But in saying
that's
that-
my biggest peeve right there. Was the thing.
Right.
It was just cool people shooting at each other, doing the ultimate anime sin of never actually doing any damage to the other hero/villain. They're just bouncing around, looking cool, and that strikes me as really not cool.
you did
Love
watch
it.
the gameplay, right?
Yeah, you did watch the gameplay, right?
Yeah, obviously
People
in the
die
game,
very
it's-
quickly.
In the game, it's very
Time to
different.
kill is very short.
It certainly seemed that way. But again, we don't really know too much about it beyond this gameplay because we didn't have a chance to try it ourselves. Vinny, you're not a fan, right?
Arena shooters aren't my favourite style of shooter. Like, the only reason I played Quake when it was out is because it was the only thing anyone ever played. This, as I said earlier, this is just Team Fortress 3 to me because Valve can't count to 3, although it doesn't seem to have the sense of humour that Team Fortress 2 had. There's nothing terribly original in it. I mean, it's not the first FPS to come out and try and say they're a MOBA. I mean, there's Battlecry, which is coming out eventually, which looks identical in a lot of respects. So it's nothing new, but Blizzard isn't exactly renowned for doing new things, so you can't really fault it there. The only thing I'll give it in its favour is the character design was pretty interesting in some of them. But honestly, the gameplay trailer for me was identical to Team Fortress. There was nothing particular. There was a few different abilities, but especially at the engineer scene with the dwarf engineer, whatever the hell that thing was.
Yeah,
was literally the engineer from Team Fortress.
They put that right at the beginning of that gameplay thing, and it's got to be on purpose, right? Like, they must have meant to draw comparisons to Team Fortress 2 if they've got a guy with a wrench hitting a turret.
Well, one of the problems with doing this sort of shooter is if it's not going to be something like Tribes, which is the last good arena shooter, which is literally just ski around the map blowing people up, which is why it was awesome, then you're going to have to do Team Fortress, because it is the best out there.
Well, it's the only one still going, because Tribes isn't going anymore.
Well, yeah, which is a real shame, but Team Fortress is the only one that's going because it's the only one that ever really did it right. I mean, I don't like it, but when I played it, at least it was about as balanced as possible to get. Everything in it just works, so it is the best out there. So if you're going to do that style of arena shooter, you're going to wind up doing Team Fortress unless you've got an amazing new idea.
Yeah,
which,
I guess PC...
no offense to Blizzard, they've never had. They've never had amazing new ideas.
Yeah, that's not their forte, really. I mean, I guess PC arena shooter, because in the console world you got Halo.
Well, even then, Halo isn't a true arena shooter. Some of the maps definitely are. I won't argue that. Some of the maps are full-on arena shooters, but they harken back to the Quake style, which is, to me...
Quake is an arena... Well, that is an arena shooter.
Yeah, I know. That's my point, is that Quake was the only arena shooter that I ever really liked, because there was no complexity, and it's literally run around, kill people, maybe capture the flag, that sort of thing. It was just that simple, which is why I like the Halo multiplayer.
Finny confirmed for casual. Likes no complexity.
Yes,
no, but I
Planetside 2.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I don't agree with you, but I certainly see where you're coming from. Just one quick correction, though, not really a correction, but the whole saying it's an FPS meets a MOBA was something that I thought. It's not something that they're pushing. It was never even mentioned.
It definitely looks it, because when you look at the way the limited gameplay we've seen for Battlecry, it looks very much similar in that the heroes in that they call them heroes as well, and they've all got different specialist abilities which make them not classes. They're characters, much like in LoL or Dota, with their own special abilities. So it looks like that. So it looks a lot. I suppose the thing is, it looks an awful lot like what Battlecry is going for.
Right.
So to me, it definitely is an FPS meets a MOBA, or an arena FPS meets a MOBA. If it's got a free beta, I'll give it a shot.
Oh, it'll be free to play. When it comes out,
everything has to be free to play nowadays. But I'll give it a shot because it might be some fun. And I'm open to the fact that it could be a hell of a lot of fun. I could be completely wrong. I could play it and think it's great. But it's been a long time since I played an arena shooter that I liked.
And you will think it's great.
That's
so we'll see.
Tucker's head talking right there.
Yeah. Blizzcon 9000. Look, when it comes out, we'll make our decision. We'll see if it's any good. As it is right now, we're just looking at gameplay from the video, and can't really make a decision yet.
Oh, not just gameplay. I want to ask you two Blizz about just how fast.
Why did I say that? Now that's all we're going to be called.
Pretty much. Gents, I want to discuss just how quick the internet was to react to this. I mean, we saw cosplay and Rule 34 threads popping up about the characters in this new game. Like, instantly. Straight away. They just dropped tools and got straight to...
Yeah. It was the perfect fetish for 4chan.
Internet, haven't you?
Yeah, but just the speed in which it happened was incredible.
Yeah, but particularly the Tracer character. It's the perfect waifu for the internet because British, freckles, fuck me eyes, suck me lips. Little tight, they've got the thigh gap, perfect for camel toe. They've got everything perfectly getting ready.
Wow, I think John's put too much thought into this.
Not too much thought. It was all over V today. I couldn't get away from it. It's like she was the perfect one. But then there was a bunch of people complaining on the internet today about how this was like the social justice warriors game. Like, the feminazis have taken over Blizzard because look at all the diversity, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to put too many normal people or different diverse people. We just want our space marines and we want our hot chicks. We don't want all these different kinds of people. And then the other half of the internet responded with pictures of that British girl and Black Widow, whatever her name is, and like all the super skin tight, just ass-clad women. And then they responded back. 4chan responds back, goes, "Oh yeah, okay, everything's fine then."
Wow.
Oh dear.
Although another game that's coming up pretty damn soon, Elite Dangerous, which I'm really looking forward to. I don't know about the rest of you.
Yes.
There was potentially one of the silliest news articles I've seen in a long time, which stated that it faces very stiff competition after its launch. My question is, from what?
Unless it
There's
launches in
nothing.
2016, there's nothing.
That's it. I mean, okay, if it does badly, well, then its competition was itself. I think, Harry, you pointed that out to me last week, I think it was. So this is, okay, partly because, okay, there's, No Man's Sky and... Well,
Star
No Man's
Citizen.
Sky, because Star Citizen's never coming out.
Well, No Man's Sky and Star Citizen are both coming out 2016, so it's going to be a long time. So what other competition are they talking about?
Well, that's the part that got me. This was on BBC World News saying, Elite Dangerous faces competition after 16th of December launch. Oh, from what?
Just the only thing I can think of is
From the previous
Eve.
Elite games in the 80s, Eve. Oh,
Yeah.
it's just-
That's
I
the only
looked
thing
at
I
that-
can think of.
This is partly a complaint about stupid news articles, but
Maybe it's just misworded. Maybe they're referring to the fact
actual-
that it has to reach a certain number of sales, or the whole thing just gets closed.
Yeah,
down.
maybe they mean like the fact that the whole reason that space sims haven't been a genre for the past 15 years is the fact that nobody wants to play them. You know, like
Well, no,
we
the
want to
news
play them.
article is after launch, the game will face stiff competition from other space-based games currently in development. The only ones you can think of is Eve, but that's a completely different experience.
Yeah, and won't have
established.
anywhere near the level of... You know, Eve's got 500,000 players, nothing near the level that this will probably sell. But what this made me think of, Finney, is that I reckon Chris Roberts and Star Citizen and the No Man's Sky people are going to be looking at this release very closely.
Oh yeah, this is. You could say for the
This is the litmus
relaunch of
test.
the space sim, this is the ultimate beta because they went out on a massive limb here with Kickstarter, hoping that this market existed. They found it because people backed it. Although, mind you, on Kickstarter, it could have just been 3 people who are idiots with their money. So, yeah, this is the ultimate beta test for it. If this does well, then No Man's Sky and Star Citizen are in the clear. If it does badly or even mediocre. I got a lot of thinking.
They have to start thinking about whether, is it because Elite Dangerous isn't as ambitious as No Man's Sky and Star Citizen, or is it because nobody actually wants space sims?
Well, this is pretty, well, at least for the current way games have been going, this is a pretty big leap into the unknown for video games because it's been a long time since anyone's done one of these, and the main reason why they wound up on Kickstarter is because no publisher would touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
So
Especially after the
this
games that they made before this, because in between the 80s Elites and this Elite, do you know what their number one game was?
What?
Connectimals.
Oh dear.
And Connect Adventures or something like that.
Right. Okay. Well, ignoring that from the developer, but the whole thing here is that this is part of like supposedly a gripe against publishers, and that even if this does phenomenally well, no publisher would ever do it. Like it's the same. I was telling Hatchet. Interesting. Harry, your name's Hatchet. I don't know where that came from. Anyway,
He was planning to murder me the entire day.
I was talking to Harry about Witcher, how no publisher would ever do The Witcher before it came out. Because it would have gone, there's nothing else out there like that, so we don't know how it's going to go, so we're not going to touch it. Even today, with Witcher being a success, if someone came up with something like The Witcher, they probably still wouldn't do it. Publishers are just too scared.
I don't think they even published The Witcher, right? Like,
Well,
doesn't
no, CD Projekt does. They publish it themselves.
Yeah, because I don't think anyone would touch it anyway, because we all love The Witcher, but The Witcher does not sell very much. It's a great game, but it's a cult classic. You know?
Yeah. It's a small studio, so their budget's okay for it. They don't need major sales.
Yeah, so they've worked it out. But, I mean, and Elite Dangerous, when I said it was less ambitious, I didn't mean that in a bad way, Finney. I meant sort of, you know, that they're doing the Planetfall stuff, and they're doing FPS, but they're doing it eventually. They're doing it in however many years. They're getting stuff out the door now. They're getting the core game out the door now, and then that stuff will come later. Whereas Star Citizen's doing the opposite approach of just doing it all at once.
Yeah,
and then
I
releasing
can
it once it's done.
appreciate a staggered release. I can understand that, but it's just hasn't happened in a long time where someone is making something that just there isn't anything else to compare it to. I mean, if you make Overwatch, for example, there's stuff to compare it to. There's Team Fortress. There's Tribes Ascend. Well, there was Tribes Ascend. There's Battlecry, which isn't out yet. There's a lot of other things to compare it to. Or if you release just an FPS shooter, then you've got to compare it to things like Metro, Battlefield, Call of Duty. You can compare it to stuff you're releasing into a known territory. This is unknown territory.
And yet somehow BBC decided to compare it to things that don't
that's
exist.
the other half of the gripe. Competition from what? I mean, when was the last Space Sim made?
It's
It's a
Freelancer or
stupid
something.
news article, but having read it and got not angry at it, but frustrated with the stupidity of it, I then began to think, well, there's nothing else to compare it to. There's nothing else out there. So this is a pretty damn big leap for video games, and that for the first time in a long time, someone's going out there into untested territories.
Yes.
Where no man has ever gone before you.
The final frontier, perhaps. There was actually Elite Dangerous news this week, and that's the release date is out. It's just
Next
16th.
month.
Yeah, 16th of December.
And I'll probably buy a joystick for it.
Yeah, I'm going to buy one too, actually. I've already got it,
And
and it is
not
fun on a
possible.
mouse and keyboard, but I do want a keyboard for it. So,
I'm thinking the Cytec one. It looks stupid.
like every peripheral you seem to own.
Oh, well, I've
You
got a Cytec
boys.
mouse and a Cytec keyboard, so I might as well finish it. I don't know
You
the
boys
headset. but
and
it's
your
nice.
joysticks.
Hey, what can I say? We like to play with them.
I put mine on turbo mode.
Oh, God.
Remember when computers had a turbo button? Do you remember that?
95
Yeah.
in 1993 that had that.
And you'd press it, and you'd be like, and you're a kid, so you're like, I don't know what this does. I mean, now we know what it does. It adds an extra 100 megahertz and it overclocks the CPU briefly. But back then, we're like, turbo, better press this, see what it does. And nothing happens, and you're like, fuck this button, I'm never pressing it again.
See, my computer just said low or high, as in HI or LO. And then my mother sat down to the computer and thought the computer box was saying hello to her, so she said hello back. And that was the very, very first time that I realized that older people don't understand computers.
She thought that the computer misspelled hello.
She thought it was just saying hi, 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 how you doing?
Oh, high-low. Oh, man. Your mother.
Yeah. Parents, computers, 2014.
So what have you been playing this week, Harry?
Well, I wanted to have a brief discussion about why games just can't be art. Because
I'll wait till you're done.
I was recently stuck up at my family place at Mudgee. Now, there's pretty much no reception up there, so I thought, well, okay, I'll download an app to my phone and just, play that. What's a really repetitive game that I can just, waste hours on? Tower defense games. That's
Should have gotten a Hearthstone.
on Android. Lol.
Oh, that's the other thing they announced at BlizzCon.
Yeah,
Next
discount
month.
Android.
Next month.
Oh, done.
Hearthstone on Android.
So we're doing that.
Whoa, can you play Hearthstone without Wi-Fi? I thought you couldn't.
Oh, no, you can't.
So we're back at square one. So yeah, I got a tower defense game, which was called Radiant Defense, because it came recommended as one of the best tower defense games. And it sucks. Each of the rounds, goes for like an hour's worth of gameplay, with like 20 different waves of enemies.
Excellent.
And it's only until like 17, 18, 19, 20 that the units just start to get too OP. It doesn't matter how you've set your bases out. It doesn't matter what traps or loops you've built for them. They just become OP and you can't kill them. And it's at that point that you realize you have to buy the upgrades, microtransactions, which of course I physically couldn't, even if I wanted to. I had no reception to do so. And it was just the worst con, because I'd played the game for so long that had I been a weaker individual, I would have gone, well, I've played this game for that many hours, that's earned a microtransaction off me or two. But it's completely cold, because you cannot beat the game. You cannot beat the
Question.
game.
Did you pay for the game, or is it free?
That is a very good question. I don't actually recall.
'Cause
If only I'd gone into this review informed.
Yeah, because if you pay for it and then they ask you for microtransactions, then yeah, I understand that's shit. But if it's free and then there's microtransactions, that's the business model, you know.
Yeah.
We get Heroes of the Storm for free, and then we pay $5 for Hero because we enjoy it, you know what I mean? It's sort of the way it works.
Yeah, sadly,
Yeah, but it doesn't
people
stop you
won't
from
tell
winning
me.
the game.
Well, I mean,
See,
that's
it's
true.
those
I mean, this is
green-
pay to win, which is the worst part of the worst kind of free to play.
That's what this sounds like it is.
Yeah.
Pay to win.
Mobile gaming in general.
Mobile
Yes.
gaming in general. I mean, you can do it right. You know, we keep saying Hearthstone, but Hearthstone is free to play, and they do that right. But this sounds like a bad example, like a Candy Crush level example, Harry.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they can't market this in the EU and the States.
No, because this isn't run by EA, Radiant Defense.
Yeah, I was looking up the forums, and they all start with, "Hey, have you got past level such and such without any additional packs?" And the answer seems to be no. And the worst part is that the game is designed to be repetitive and addictive as all hell. The music, the visuals, everything just lulls you into a sense of repetition. It switches off a part of your brain, and you become sick of the music, but you also can't get it out of your head. So it's actually easier on your brain to just keep playing the game and keep listening to that stupid repetitive little soundtrack than not. If you stop playing the game, you've got it playing in your head, which is worse.
And it turns on that lizard part of your brain that, gets the reward going, where you there's like, say you go up a level or something like that, and it goes ding, and there's a like bright flash and things happen. Like when you win a level in Peggle, it's like, Ode to Joy starts playing. The part in your brain's just like, yes, dopamine, go!
Can I tell you,
Harry
right,
is
I have
all of a
to tell
sudden
you.
an MMO player.
Yeah. Just for the viewers, if you spend a lot of time with your significant other or girlfriend or stuff, and you find yourself normally getting bored, like you're both there playing video games or whatnot, play Peggle, okay? Like, that amount of fireworks and flashy hoorah on screen when you finish a thing, mixed with the dopamine levels, you'll get in the mood.
no time,
It'll
yeah.
happen. I promise you.
I don't think that's going to happen.
It happens.
totally
I can
happen.
try and I confirm that it won't happen.
So, Tucker, have you never played Peggle?
No.
What the fuck?
Play Peggle.
It's
Why
even
not?
in WoW. It's in WoW. Really? I
Nope.
thought this was like the last decade's #1 game.
Yeah, it's like the video game equivalent of crack cocaine. It's just so addictive.
Okay,
It's
how's that?
ridiculous.
Harry, I'll check Origin and I'll see if it's there.
No, it's I think it's free on Origin, but 2, it's free on pretty much everything now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get it on
You can
Steam.
get it on, your phone, you can get it on Steam, you can get it on your anywhere.
I just
Steam
wanted to
version.
rustle Harry's jimmies.
There's a
By
Team
mentioning
Fortress 2 mod as
Origin.
well.
Let's have a look. I probably have it.
There's
Oh,
Team Fortress
yep,
2.
I have it.
Oh, there you go. So
It is in
install
my
that-
Origin library.
Install that, plug in a controller, get Sandra to play it.
Uh,
So, Harry, why... I know I could have just let this go and not get angry, but why does this mean video games are not art?
Because it's just such a developed and perfected practice. This
excellent
game,
answer, John. Move on.
This
Yes,
game,
and painting is easy and anyone can do it. And nobody sells paintings for money. Art's art, Harry. This isn't even a discussion
No.
anymore.
No,
Art
it's
is entirely
seriously it has utterly destroyed it. Okay, if you could do with paintings what these developers do with some of these games, then paintings would not be art.
It's got nothing to do with money, Harry. You go pay money to see a film.
Yeah,
You pay per episode. Say you're on iTunes or whatever, or Netflix or something. You'll pay per episode to watch the next episode of Game of Thrones, for example.
imagine.
We don't. 'cause
Yeah,
we're in
but
Australia.
imagine if you went to the movies and you wanted to watch the next X-Men film, and you paid.
And you had to pay to go see it?
No, you paid for your ticket, right?
Yeah.
And it's all good. You're sitting there with your popcorn. You get 3/4 of the way through the movie, and the movie stops like that. And you have to pay to watch
99
that.
cents to continue.
And you have to watch
Yeah.
that second bit. And you go back to the manager saying, couldn't I have just paid the full price to watch the full movie in one sitting? Oh, no, that's not how we do things. We'll stop the game stop the movie at random points if we feel like it, and you have to pay an unspecified amount of money. Imagine if that was standard practice for all movies at all cinemas. Would anyone ever consider cinema to be art?
Yeah, but Harry, that's got nothing to do with the art. They still would, because the art is separate from how you sell the art. It's got nothing to do with it. Obviously, this is a bad game, and they've designed the game to fuck with you like this.
Yeah.
But all art is just somebody trying to express something. These guys are trying to express a sense of fun. But then their accountant, their Tuckers, came in and they said, "Time to express some dollars, bitches."
No, at no point was any art infused. Like they said, there was a designer in front of the computer, and the accountant walked up and said, "Okay, we need colourful characters. Make colourful characters." That's not art. There was no inspiration there.
No, he wouldn't.
If somebody sits down and that's not how it works. But if somebody sits down and says, "I want to make a tower defense game because I remember playing the Warcraft 3 ones. They were so fun. I really enjoyed them playing with my friends, all this sort of thing. So I'm going to do it.
No,
Let's make it on mobile."
It did not even start like that. It did not even start like that. A group of Tuckers sat down and said, "We want to make a mobile iOS and Android game that can sucker people into a long gameplay episode before they need to pay to get to the next thing. What is a type of game that can do that?" And then the expert will say, "Oh, a tower defense would do that. Okay, we'll make a tower defense." That's how this game started.
Okay, so from our totally uninformed opinion of how this started, because neither of us were there at the initial meeting.
I've played the game,
fine.
I can tell.
Yeah, but fine, okay, whatever. Let's say that's not art, but that doesn't mean that video games aren't art. You know, the majority, even if when you sit down and right at the beginning you say, "We're going to make the next COD because this COD sold this many copies and we want to sell that many copies next year, so let's make a new COD and make some money from it," and then they go and make the new COD. Doesn't make COD not art. Even though we may not like it, there are millions of people who love it and get really into it, and it is art to them. It's got nothing to do with whether there's a financial thing attached to it.
The average COD player is not going to give two shits about art.
You don't understand what I mean by art, though. When I say art,
we're arguing apples and oranges here. I agree with you on what you're saying. Yes, video games can be art.
Art can be shit, is what I'm saying.
And art can be shit. But I'm just saying that this practice, this kind of things, is ruining the public image. So whether you think video games is art or not is unimportant. What I'm saying is, what does the average person think? What's the statistic? What's the collective view?
Well,
and if the majority of people were asked, and all of the results correlated, the answer would be no, because most people would see it as this corporate product thing and not art.
This money grabbing sort of thing. I agree with you there. I agree with you that it's ruining the public perception of video games and lessening its maturity as a medium. It's and you're completely right there. We need to do something about these sorts of games, and I think people are starting to catch on with that.
The easiest way is don't buy them.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking, as a general rule, there is a right way to do free to play, and there is definitely a wrong way to do art. But either way, art's a thing.
Yeah.
Art doesn't have to be a beautiful painting, or it doesn't have to be something that makes you feel good, or whatever. It's just an expression of something. That's all art is. Somebody expressing something to you.
I want to express this anime with chicks with really big tits. It's art.
It is art, though. I mean, you've got this... I know you're fucking with me, but yeah. No, but I mean, anytime somebody sits down and says, "I want to express something," and whether that's "I want to express my murderous rampages and draw a picture of me stabbing this person," whether it's not whether it can go up on an art gallery. It's whether somebody expressed something onto a physical or some other kind of medium, and then somebody else experienced that. That's art.
Well, it's like music. Music is art, and then most music is shit.
Yes, indeed. See, these microtransaction-laden games are the Taylor Swift of the world. People will buy them, and in fact, they'll probably be more popular than good games. But we know the truth, and that is that Taylor Swift is a hack.
And that makes us elitists.
Yes, monocle attached. Anyway, so it's a shame that you had to have such a shit game. Experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, don't get this game. 0 out of 10.
In case you didn't get that from this review, don't get it. Yeah. So speaking of actually fucking sick games, I've been playing Evolve. So the alpha for Evolve is a limited time alpha. We've been hearing about this game for years. Finally came out in alpha, and then stopped again. And it'll be coming out sometime next year. Pretty much what it is Imagine
Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead, but with the sort of abilities of an MMO, where you've got your tank, you've got your healer, you've got your damage, and you have a trapper. What it is 4 of you against one other guy, and that other guy is a monster. Literally a monster, a massive monster, and he goes around these big arenas, these big areas, and grows in power and has these abilities like rock throwing and all this sort of stuff. And there's all these different kinds of monsters and stuff, but the one map that they had unlocked for us was sort of like a Jurassic Park style facility, and it's you're hunting this monster, pretty much. You're hunters. So it's an asymmetrical sort of multiplayer experience where it's 4 of your friends versus 1 of your other friends, and you can all choose who is the monster and all that sort of thing. It is fucking kick-ass. It's one of the most fun things I've ever played, and I don't know whether that's the novelty of the whole thing, but when you get to be the monster, you think that, oh, finally you're overpowered, but you're actually really weak, so you got to run away. And running away is really cool because you're like 5 times taller than everybody else, and you're jumping over cliffs and you're doing sort of monster parkour and all this sort of stuff. And then you evolve and you get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you can sort of turn around and start fighting these guys who have been trying to trap you and harpoon you this whole time. It's such a cool game. Finny, have you seen any stuff about it?
Yeah, I've seen a fair bit of the trailers for it. It looks like an interesting concept, the 4v1 idea. Not sure how that'll turn out, whether the monster's going to be completely underpowered at the start so you just get annihilated, or completely overpowered at the end so that you're just constantly winning. So it'll be interesting to see how they do the game balance there.
Yeah,
the design of the monster and the characters didn't impress me much, though.
Yeah, no, they're just sort of generic whatevers, but I mean, I can tell you from experience that playing the monster, you do feel very vulnerable early on. And what happens is you start on the ground, and they all start in a plane, and they all parachute out of a plane, and you've got time to run away and hide. So they've got skills that they can track your footprints, but you can sneak. But you don't really want to sneak. You want to get as far away as possible. And you eat birds and eat animals that are on the flying around and are on the ground, and you consume them to build up towards your next stage of evolution, and every time you evolve you get stronger and stronger, and so you're trying to stay away until you're strong enough and then turn around and kill them or destroy this power relay thing that they have to defend, but a lot of the time they catch up to you, and you'd think that you'd want to play the monster all the time because the monsters fucking kick ass, but playing the people is actually really fun as well, because you've got jetpacks and you've got double jumps and these really cool weapons, and it's really tense as well, going through the jungle and thinking that the monster's nearby, but you don't quite know. Then he jumps out at you, and it feels like a little bit like when you play the tank or whatever, like you play the zombies in Left 4 Dead, whatever that mode was, where you could play the bad guys, the other side, but way more, like much more fleshed out, and just really fun, really cool to do. I'd really recommend you guys check it out when the alpha comes, or the beta, I guess, comes back out.
My biggest problem with that is, in a single-player scenario, playing as the monster could work really well up against the AI. The problem is, in multiplayer, you're up against other people, and online gamers are the cheesiest fuckers out there.
What do you think that they would do to ruin the game, for example?
Well, if there's any... Well, in any multiplayer game, there's always the cheesiest possible thing which just ruins the game for everyone entirely, which makes you win, whatever that may be. So when they find it in this, there's a very good chance, like, hopefully there won't be much in the way of that, or there'll be a way around it. We don't know. It's not out yet. But if there is a possibility, that could ruin it. Because I play PlanetSide a lot, and PlanetSide is so fucking cheesy, it's almost a dairy product.
Well, it'd be up to the developer to, sort of take that out. Like we were speaking about Starcraft 2 earlier with this dumb fucking unit that just wins the game. That they'll take that out. It's obvious they'll take that out, or they'll nerf it in some way to keep it balanced. And so if it turns out that as the monster you can just wait for them to arrive and then you curb stomp them and you kill them all at once in an AoE attack, they'll nerf that. They have to. Anything multiplayer, you got to nerf stuff. Single player stuff, they nerf stuff less because dragons flying backwards is funny, Bethesda. But in multiplayer, they have to. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. If there is a cheese that they can do, then there's got to be a counter to it. Like they didn't take out the Zerg Rush because there's a counter to it. But they took out
plenty of cheesy shit in most FPSs that they never get rid of.
Like what?
E-Rush.
The entirety of Battlefield hanging back on the other side of the map and sniping.
Yeah, but then nobody
caps
caps.
PlanetSide. Yes, but most people don't actually care about that, John. They're only caring about their KD.
No, but you don't win the game.
Yes,
You
people
stay
don't
back.
care about winning the game. They care about their KD. If they, at the end of it, they can say, "I shot everyone in the head," they'll be happy. These are gamers we're talking about, John.
I guess that's their own fault, though. I mean, if you're
Yes, but
sniping,
if there's
sitting
enough
back
of
and
them-
sniping,
If there's enough of them, it can ruin a match. A good example in PlanetSide is in the best fights, which is generally like 12v12 or 24v24 in the... They're the ones that usually won't go for the longest and are the most fun. Now, whenever that happens, there'll always be one outfit that goes, okay, there's an easy fight. We don't want to go to the big ones because we're cowards, so let's just go ruin this one. And then they turn up in like 4 galaxies, drop on top of the Sunderers, blow it up, and then run away acting as if they've just won the whole world. It's the cheesiest crap, and it ends up the only places you can fight is when there's 300 people all running around with shotguns. And it gets really tiring when people just cheese their way through the game.
at
And
what
that's
point
like-
does that become the developer's problem, and what point is that the players just being dicks?
Well, the problem is that it's difficult to take those things out of the game. So I wouldn't exactly put the onus on the developers in that instance, as it is the players. I'd like to think that people would go these sorts of tactics. Like, how often in like world class Starcraft do they use cheesy tactics?
Not too well. No, not too often. Not in high level stuff.
Well, you'd hope that would sort of be the predominant mentality, that you'd look at. You go, I could take this particular tactic, which would probably win me the game, but it's just such a load of crap that I won't. Whether you're afraid of your reputation or anything.
Well, in StarCraft, they say we don't do it. Yeah, like they won't do it because there's the risk that it'll get scouted, and then they'll have the counter to it. Cheese in, like you're talking about in PlanetSide, that's just the developers can't do anything about that. That's just the players
Being
need to
dicks.
police themselves. You know,
That's my concern with Evolve, is that if there, once again, it could be a lot of fun. Hopefully it will be. But if there is a cheesy way of winning in that, which isn't easy to remove, then in a lot of ways that could ruin it. Not the entirety of the game, but just make the sessions where you play through and there's one bastard who just decides he's going to ruin it because all he cares about is his KD or whatever. Those are the sorts of things in multiplayer shooters that really give me the shits, and I'm just tired of seeing it.
yeah. Well, with Evolve at the very least, there's only one guy to kill, so there's no KD. There's only one objective, so there's nothing else they can do other than that. I think it's similar to Counter-Strike in that pretty much if you're going to play competitive Counter-Strike like we do, you need your pre-made group. If you just go in with random people, you've always got the chance that there's going to be the guy who just fucking tries to crouch hump everybody and buys an AWP every round and kills himself. You know, you've always got the potential, Harry. You've always got the potential to have that guy in your group.
There'll always
So,
be that.
yeah. So you know, you could say this about literally any game. And one of the most successful FPSs out there is arguably Counter-Strike, and you know, you just play with people you know. You
I
get
suppose
into
that's the
groove.
ultimate thing. It's how you play Left 4 Dead, because that's the same thing. There'd always be one guy in Left 4 Dead who'll go and trip every alarm
Yeah.
to try and just get everyone killed. So you'd play with your friends in that
You play with
instance.
friends. It's the way you got to do it. So, but does it look like something you'll check out when it comes out?
I will definitely give that a shot. I love Left 4 Dead, and anything else that's like Left 4 Dead, hopefully, will be just as good, if not better.
Yeah, Harry and Tucker, have you seen anything about it?
Nope.
I've heard a
surprisingly
lot about
little.
it. Like, people always talking about it, especially on other podcasts and just in the general gaming news, but I'm still not interested in it.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't feel like there's no interest at all. It's like, I'm aware that it's coming out and some people are saying it's going to be a big thing, but unless you twist my arm and like force me to get it,
Well, you know I'm going to.
yeah, so yeah.
Did you
Yeah,
play
I'll
Left 4
get it.
Dead?
Yeah, of course.
Did you like it?
Yeah. I think I mainly enjoyed the survival mode.
Which mode was that? I forget.
will
Like just
die.
Outlast. Yeah. Just they like hordes just keep coming at you and you just gotta
Oh.
just
Nah, I like the whole story thing, because the survivals then it's just like a normal shooter.
No.
No,
So
it's
Survival was
badly.
great. They were retarded.
It's horde mode, you're saying, right? Like waves
yeah,
of...
horde mode. Yeah, essentially it's
Effectively,
horde mode.
but like more intense. It produced the most amazing tension in a video game I've ever felt.
Oh, I just liked putting the story or whatever, going through the hospital, for example, like putting
Oh,
that
they were a
up,
lot of
up
fun.
to 11 and just playing through that a bunch of times. That was fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, But Rooster Teeth guys did a playthrough of Evolve as well. If you guys want to, Tucker, if you want to see some actual gameplay to see how that is.
I think I should probably do that. I haven't actually seen any gameplay whatsoever. I just hear people mentioning it. I'm like, yeah, I don't care.
I'll send you a link so you can have a look after the episode.
Please do.
Yeah, what were you going to say, Harry?
I was just saying there's an advantage to being an absolute slowpoke like myself and just finding games after they've already gone over the hill of popularity. Because you find a really good game, everyone else has played it, so there's heaps of other videos and lots of cosplay art or whatever. It depends on how good or how much you want to get into the game. Like Five Nights at Freddy's, for example. I mean, that was a really big thing months ago. And then I only just got into it. Like, oh, guys, this is an awesome horror game. You ever heard of it?
You're doing my thing.
Yeah.
Well, Tucker, Harry waits because he's a slowpoke. Tucker, you wait because it doesn't fit into your spreadsheet.
Exactly.
You need
I have
to
an
save
objective
up the
reasoning
money.
for not getting him like that.
Harry has no actual reason.
He doesn't have an excuse.
Because he likes playing old things. He likes old OSs, he likes old computers, he likes old phones, he likes old everything.
Yeah, so Harry, how are you
Just for you,
enjoying
John.
OS X Mavericks?
Actually, freaking Mavericks.
You're right, sorry, John. OS X Yosemite.
You fucking idiots.
Actually,
It's
Yosemite,
OS X.
Yosemite has a bit of a bug at the moment, and I was one of the first to discover it.
Is it because you're running on
can't display-
2008?
I knew
can't
about the
display
bug
PDFs
because it was
well.
cool. Harry is a bug hipster.
Its preview is broken. It cannot
How?
view PDFs. If you have more than a
100%
two-page
can't view
PDF, you can't scroll.
All right, let's
Harry,
confirm
you
this.
100% can.
I'm deadly serious. You got 3 pages.
I
You
did it
scroll
like
from
5
page 1
times
to page
today.
2, and then you scroll, and it says you're on page 3, but you're looking at page 1 again, and it's a known bug.
Okay,
Patch.
guys, live follow-up on the podcast. I'm getting my laptop out, I'm opening a PDF.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing.
I don't know if it affects every computer or every
wow.
PDF.
I think it's like
It's a known bug.
In fact,
okay?
it might just be a specific PDF on my specific computer.
which is like what?
No, it's
8 years
all
old now?
PDFs.
The
It's all
2008
PDFs, like
Mac Pro with 2 gigs of RAM.
2010 Mac Pro.
Yours is 2008, you said?
No, I swapped it with the 2010 Mac Pro.
Still 4 years old.
Alright.
In tax
Whole 4
terms, that's
years.
completely depreciated. So get rid of
Alright,
it.
I need a PDF. Here's a PDF. Alright, so I'm opening this PDF in preview.
Switch it to whole page view instead of continuous.
What's the difference between those? Whole
So
page
that's
view?
when you're scrolling, it just goes straight to the next page. It doesn't scroll slowly from the
Oh.
first page to the second page.
Yeah, no, it does that anyway. Yeah, no, it's scrolling between the 2 pages.
Confirmed.
Perfectly fine.
John Clark's computer is working. That's one. Okay, now we just need to work on the
It's
others.
scrolling between 4 different pages. And I haven't opened this laptop for a couple of days. I'm just getting a text coming in from Tucker saying, I can't stand that Harry is Nova 2 in Counter-Strike.
Hey, I'm feeling better now because he's Nova 1.
Yeah, I know. I keep on playing with you scrubs. I keep losing.
You gotta stop doing it.
You
Anyway,
anchored last round. What the hell are you on
Yeah,
about?
I know. I anchored so hard. I
so
don't know
hard.
what I was doing.
You guys are really picking up... Yeah, Harry, you're picking up the MOBA lingo pretty quickly. I'm carrying, I'm anchoring, scrub. It's all happening with you.
Gets on my level.
It's happening. It's happening. Oh, I don't want to be that guy.
Wow, that guy.
By the way, I edited episode 25 today, and I almost used the Darude's Dankstorm as the as this intro song and the outro song.
I'm so glad you didn't.
I didn't, though. I didn't. Anyway. Well, is that it from you guys this week?
Pretty much.
Tucker?
Yep.
Alright. Well, I'd like to thank you all for joining us for Uninformed. Please subscribe to us on iTunes, watch us on YouTube, tweet us at Uninformed News, or email us at uninformedpodcast@gmail.com. I'm John Clark,
I'm Harrison Lake.
I'm Andrew Finn.
And I'm Matt Tucker.
and you've become Uninformed.